Greed. I had gotten this job at a company. The company was called Magazine Management Company, and they published a lot of different magazines. They published movie magazines, confession magazines, and comic books. I applied for a job. I didn't know they had an opening in the comic book department. It was the last thing on my mind. I thought I'd be a magazine writer. But they threw me in with Jack Kirby and Joe Simon and said, you can help them in the comic book department. So I realized after a while, the only way to make any money at this is to write some stories. So as I say, I was propelled by greed. By the way, you said a female question. Now, did you mean a question from a female or a specific type of question that only a female would ask? Because I don't want to feel that you're sexist. That you feel just because a female asks a question, it becomes a female question. It could have just been a question like if a male had asked. So I want you to give these things a little more
At heart a writer, and words matter to you a great deal. Do you have a favorite word?
Oh, you mean Excelsior? I swear I would not have thought of that yet. That's what he did. It was a favorite word. No, I'll tell you the story of Excelsior, which you probably don't really care to hear, but since we mentioned it. I used to write this soapbox column in Marvel, and I would end by saying things like "nuff said," or "face front," or "hang loose," or whatever I thought of, whatever stupid saying I could think of. And I noticed that the competitive comic magazines would start using those expressions also, and that bothered me. So I thought, I've got to think of some closing expression that they won't copy for two reasons. One, they won't know how to spell it. And two, they won't know what it means. So I came up with Excelsior, which is a word that's on the Great Seal of the state of New York. And it means upward and onward to greater glory, which of course exemplifies Marvel Comics. Now the funny thing about that, today they use bubble wrap, but years ago if you mailed something fragile in a package, you'd put a lot of what looks like sawdust in the package so the thing wouldn't get broken. And that stuff was called Excelsior. So you don't know how many letters I would get from fans. Why do you end your essay with a word that means the stuff you put in packages so things don't get broken? And I had to tell them to go to the dictionary, and upward and onward to greater glory is the second definition. And if you don't have a big dictionary, it only says the stuff you packages with. And people think I'm crazy. So if people ever talk to you about it, please be sure they buy a big dictionary.